Uh-oh. Yeah, we're going to do an episode. A short V Gonk just went for $35 on the IC.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
Here we go.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of 5 Idiots Talking Toys. It is Sunday night and it's time for a new podcast episode. Thanks very much for joining us here on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. Please follow us wherever you're listening, like this video and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And please comment below, share some thoughts about this topic. We will bring the boys in now. We will also remind you about our Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/5idiotstalkingtoys, and you can get early editions of all of our content, as well as exclusive 5 Idiots After Dark episodes. So please join us there, become a member, support the show, and you'll get the additional benefits as well. Brandon Alamo has been sweating all week long in his non-air-conditioned office, and that's made you tired. Is that correct?
Correct.
Charles finds this humorous.
Because he speaks like he's on a game show. Like, which one do you want?
Hey.
I'd like to buy a vowel.
John, what vowel would you like?
I would like to have an air-conditioned office.
Oh, right. Was your school air conditioned when because you're in Georgia, right?
Oh yeah.
New Jersey schools aren't air conditioned.
What the really?
Really?
Yeah. So like when you get into June, like that last month of school and early September sometimes, woo, these kids are sweating. My wife's a teacher, she's sweating. Yeah. It makes sense though. They're not going to spend millions of dollars on a whole unit for 6 weeks of the year. Sheesh. Woo. Chris is currently selling things on Rogue 5 Toys.
Correct.
And he joins us live now.
Shane, I think he sold the sleeves of his shirt.
I love he does that. He's frozen the whole time.
Always hear a cackling.
I was so thrown off. I was like, what is happening?
This thing always freezes.
Oh, gosh. Well, we're here. We're laughing. We're having fun. But some sad news this week that one of the probably most popular additions to the Star Wars universe over all the years that it's been around, James Earl Jones passed away at the age of 93 this past couple of days, actually 2 days ago, from when we're recording this. So a lot of people chiming in on X, on Twitter, a lot of the Hollywood community, a lot of fans of his movies, and we thought we would talk about that a little bit, reminisce, and talk about some of the movies that we've enjoyed throughout our lives that he was part of. Brandon, have you ever you've never met him at a convention or autograph signing or anything like that, right?
No, he never did conventions and he never did public signings. He did do private signings.
Okay.
A number of years ago, but he was never really out in the public to do things like that.
What it makes me think of when I ask that is something that I saw on X after his passing was announced, was his appearance on Big Bang Theory with Sheldon, when he was sitting. I think he was sitting in the restaurant and Sheldon was at a different table and recognized him, and so he could poke fun, he could have a good time, and he could rub elbows with the fans in certain ways, maybe not in person, but acknowledge the great fandom that we have for his voice for Darth Vader in the movies. John, what thoughts did you have that you'd like to share?
Well, I thought he was a really good actor in He's been in a lot of things. One of the ones that left the greatest impression on me, besides the voice of Darth Vader, was this movie called The Great White Hope. I don't know if you've ever seen it,
I haven't.
but it is
Never
a
heard
fantastic movie. It's
Isn't it the
about,
Great White Hype?
huh?
Is that a
The Great
basketball
White
movie?
Hope.
The great
Is that a
No, it's
basketball
about a
movie?
boxer, Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's about Jack Johnson. In the movie, and it's a play. It was a play initially, and then he did the Broadway run of that, and then they filmed the movie. And I think the character's name is Jack Jefferson in the play and in the movie. But it's a fantastic movie. It was just one of those movies where you walk into the room and it's on, and you kind of like catch it for a second, and then you try to turn to go do something else, and then something else grabs your attention. The next thing you know, you're sitting down on the couch watching the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great movie, and I think it's probably one of my favorites by him. But yeah,
I gotta put that on my list. I'm seeing it was written in 1967, and it was a 1970 movie.
yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah,
One of his early movies.
yeah.
Did they use
Oh God.
like the rolling film? I was like,
Probably.
Charles, it wasn't a silent film. It was in 1970.
Silent.
Is that
There
when they would use
there
the
was
paper,
audio.
and the paper would be the little stick figure, and
All
then they
things
would
they had like
record that?
the flip cards where they would flip the cards and all the figures.
yeah.
Yeah,
hold the index cards and they're like,
Like the guy would run in from the side and hold up a card that said some words on it, and that was the story.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But no, that was a great movie, and he was a great actor. He was a great actor. I also
Fantastic.
saw a video of the production of he was in Fences, August Wilson's play Fences. Everybody's like, ain't that Denzel Washington? Well, yeah, but it's the same character that Denzel Washington played in Fences, which was released as a film a few years ago, was the character that James Earl Jones played, the dad.
Okay.
No one's seen Fences?
No,
It's great.
I
play.
have a fence,
Good
but
play.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
fences.
I have a vinyl fence. Does that count?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a vinyl fence.
A vinyl king.
It's a really good play.
John, you go to a lot of plays?
I haven't in a while, but yeah, I used to love going to play.
Okay.
So funny you mentioned the play part, because that is one of the only ways that people that fans were able to meet him was after a play and get his autograph and
Yeah,
do that. And you'd catch him outside after the play and ask for a picture or well, back then there wasn't iPhones around, but when he was doing them like 20 years ago, I want to say, he was doing plays and people would just get their stuff signed there. That was the other way to meet him, was to do that.
So that's why you went to so many plays back then?
That's why John went to so many.
Yeah,
so I could try to catch James Earl Jones. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean, 20 years I was playing with something else, but
I mean,
Sausage
when I
Link?
heard him past, I actually was like upset because he is like a really good actor.
Yeah.
And when you look at like the main cast, there's not many of them that are actually left.
No.
yeah.
So Harrison Ford is there. Anthony Daniels, who, I mean, a lot of people just don't really care about him. Not to say that in a negative, a negative way, but like people always think of C-3PO. They don't really think of like, Anthony Daniels. And then you have Mark Hamill, but he's brain dead, so no one really cares about him. So, I mean,
I mean, yes. There's not many left, and
no, there's not.
and he was 93, man. So it's like,
yeah.
what
No,
more?
of course
So when
he-
they announced that he passed, I was like,
Great run.
I mean, I don't know.
my
about
daughter
you guys,
actually texted me and she's like, "Hey, the guy that played Darth Vader's voice just died," and then I was in a meeting at work and I scrolled through something on Facebook and I saw his face pop up before my daughter texted me, and I knew that something was wrong as soon as I saw it. And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of figured that."
There's a couple of guys that I will look up sporadically just to see if they're like still around because they were great actors and you just don't see them anymore. Like Jack Nicholson. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you don't see him at the basketball games anymore or hear of him. I kind of just Google him just to see if they're still around, and never want to hear that someone's dead. But the guy was 93. He lived a long life. And did he actually do the voice of Vader when they did the Obi show, or was that not real?
I think they used clips of recordings of his.
Like old clips. So he wasn't actually like doing a voice recording from his home.
I think the last time he recorded anything was for Rogue One, maybe.
They use like AI, I think.
Well, I'm looking at his filmography, and I don't know the story behind it in terms of how much they actually used of his real voice and in real time. But he's got a credit on Rogue One, and he's got a credit on Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace. What am I saying? What do you call it? Well, actually, Rise of Skywalker. I was going to say it was
Rise of
Skywalker for the voice in her head or whatever.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith he's on, and then Rise of So I guess maybe they didn't use his voice for the first two sequel movies, the sequel trilogy, but they used it for the last one.
Was his voice even in the sequels other than that one?
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not.
Because the only part that I remember is when towards the end of the movie is when you hear all the voices come back.
Because I feel like I remember them making a big deal about the fact that it was really his voice.
That I know in Rogue One, and I think you're right, Shannon. I seem to remember that as well. That was probably the last thing he did.
Yeah. Well,
they didn't use him for the Obi was AI with using his voice.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they actually if he actually did like a recording from home, and then they just used it. Like I didn't know what they actually did with that.
Yeah. Well, I saw this movie. I only saw it the one time, and I'm struggling to remember. But his final credit was Coming to America 2. And so I don't remember. I don't remember if it was physically. Yeah. It was an Amazon movie.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they made a sequel.
2021.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I was saving that one because I didn't think everybody would necessarily remember that first, but I was saving you the first one. Coming to America is one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, it is, comedy wise, it's like number one probably for me. So that's my, besides Vader, that's my favorite role of his. When he plays King Jafar, I mean, it's the greatest role. I just love that movie. He's so good in it. And that's what I think. It's one of the first things I think of when I think of him.
And he was a king in Conan too, wasn't he? Conan the Barbarian.
I was just going to say, so that's what I think of him from Conan. Field of Dreams, stuff like that.
Field
that's
of Dreams, yeah.
Remember him.
So,
because his voice was so distinct.
Yeah, Field of Dreams was all time. It was great.
I think of him from like my age and like a movie I watched 1,000 times is Sandlot.
Sandlot. That's one of my wife's favorite movies of all time.
Yeah,
she loves it.
Forgot about that too.
Yeah,
and the thing about what's that? I was gonna say I read a story of a friend of mine. She posted when she met James Earl Jones was after hours at one of the plays, and her buddy used to I guess run the stage back then.
Mm-hmm.
And where I'm going with the story is that he was actually, like a pretty quiet guy that didn't really want to be, wasn't like a flashy kind of actor. He did most of the, plays and stuff like that he enjoyed doing. And he was more of like a personable guy. She was waiting for her friend, I guess, one day after the play that he was doing, and he managed to get her his autograph on the playbill. And then a few days later, she showed up to, thank him for it or whatever. And the dude was like running in behind the stage, and he was like, "Hey, I just ran into, James Earl Jones. He's coming out." So he came out, and all three of them were just kind of standing there. And she's like, "Hey, thanks. Great performance. Thanks for signing that thing." And they were both kind of chit-chatting, and they offered to take him to go get a cup of coffee. So he obliged and went with them to the diner that was near there in New York. And he sat down with them for a cup of coffee and for like a couple hours or whatever and talked with them. And, so he was that kind of guy that would go to have a cup of coffee with two strangers and not even know who they are, and do that, which a lot of actors these days won't even go near the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a different world now than the
Yeah.
world where he grew up in. He grew up in. I don't mean grew up, but I'm saying like he was a well-known, established actor with a career behind him. In the 70s and 80s. Pre-internet. Pre-craziness with
He was
fans.
alive during World War II. If you think about it, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm looking at his list of movies. There's a lot of big name movies on here, and I know these movies. I don't remember exactly what role he played in every one of these, but Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger. Those are all those Tom Clancy movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are all great movies.
Yeah. So I'm sure he played those
great '90s movies. Those are all amazing.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah.
Yep. And Judge Dredd. I don't remember. I don't know what he was in the original Judge Dredd. But
Judge Dredd.
I just saw that the other day. I don't remember seeing him in there.
Oh, really? So maybe it was a small role. But one of the main things that people remember him for, and maybe it's the generation just right after us, but Lion King. He was the voice of the Lion King. So.
Mufasa.
I mean, he was 93, but does anyone know? Was he a function in 93? Was he still doing things, or was he just in a wheelchair?
No, apparently he was 91 or 90 when he did Coming to America 2. So
I think he was had a good mind and probably wasn't getting around too well, but I don't think he was gone by any means.
Well, that's like Mel Brooks. I think Mel Brooks is 97 now.
He's bopping all over the place.
And he is, yeah. And he was actually in World War II.
Oh my God.
He was the radio technician.
Yeah.
In World War II.
Mel Brooks is 97 years old.
He's up there.
He's
I didn't even think he was still alive.
And he's trying to make isn't he trying to make Spaceballs too?
I think so. He's in on part of it, yeah.
Yeah. He was on something a couple of years ago.
98 years old.
Oh,
98.
You know what he was on? He was on with
don't tell him short.
He was on with Seinfeld in that Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Oh yeah.
And I mean this was maybe 5 or 7 or 8 years ago now, but I mean he looked like he was 100 then, and he was bopping all over the place.
Yeah, that's when he was oh gosh, who was the other guy that he and Mel Brooks were best friends?
Yeah, and he went over and visited him, right?
Yeah.
Who was that?
I cannot remember now.
I can't remember either, but I mean that's some guys just have
Carl Reiner.
Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
Some guys just still have the life in them, to be around their friends and be doing stuff and talking and some people know, but
I'm 42 and I want to be stuck in a basement and not talk to anybody.
We can arrange that.
Well, meanwhile, your phone is blowing up all day with different emojis flying across the screen. So,
God.
So you're talking.
So many emojis.
So many.
So
there's a lot of credits on here. I can't say that he was the biggest, one of the biggest movie stars ever. He wasn't a lead actor in a ton of movies, but he was a.
He's always just been very well known. Everyone
always been known. Yeah.
Well, he voiced.
Everyone knows.
He was the voice of the most iconic villain in film history.
Mufasa.
Mustafa?
Darth Vader, ding.
Oh, right.
Ding.
I mean, even Charles knows who James Earl Jones is.
He thought it was one of the Fraggle Rock characters the other day.
And Peter Mayhew, he's like, who?
I knew he was Vader's voice, and I knew he was in Sandlot.
Right. Well,
he was a blind man in Sandlot.
Yeah. I feel like we might be missing a movie in here, so I keep scrolling up and down. But so he's got all the Star Wars credits on there. I mean, that's just a huge list of credits, just the Star Wars movies doing the voice. But what's a crazy thing, by the way, is the post I've seen in the last 48 hours of the 4 different elements of Darth Vader: the body, the face,
I didn't see it.
the voice. And what was the other part?
The saber.
I guess there was the body with there was David Prowse with the body, with the helmet on, and then there was the voice who was Shaw, right?
No, James Earl Jones was.
I'm sorry,
James Earl Jones.
the face. I'm sorry, the face was Shaw in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then what was the 4th part?
The sculpting of the sounds.
The breathing.
What the hell was it? But it was funny.
The wiener.
It was funny to me how many components it went in to make this one character. It was like multiple actors.
You have. Oh, was it the stunt actor?
I don't think so. What the heck was it? It was the voice, the face, the body, and
You have the voice. You have the body. You have
The soul.
a stunt double who would do all the sword fighting.
maybe, yeah, maybe. But it just goes to show you, they I think they kind of learned early on as they were going along. They were recording with David Prowse, and they were like, "Yeah, this isn't going to work. We got to get somebody,
Well,
to do the voice."
Yeah, they didn't like his voice.
apart until you find those plans.
Yeah, I
Well,
heard
the video. The video exists.
the video is awful.
Have you heard it? Yeah.
He's like, "I want those plans. You better find them." And it's like, "Oh God, thank
Bring
God.
her to me.
You're a traitor." I'm just like, "Oh my God."
You will succumb to the dark side.
The name, the look, the body, and the voice. Is that what you're saying, Shane?
The name.
The name. The look.
What's the
body,
name?
the voice.
I don't know. I just googled the 4 parts of Darth Vader and it said the name, the look, the body, and the voice.
And it actually, the name is
Starting with a look at the 4 elements that make up this iconic villain: the name, the look, the body, and the voice. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. It was like 4. It was like 4 people. They were showing like in a
Shane
square.
doesn't even know what he's saying.
Shane's
I'll find it.
Shane's making shit up now.
No, I saw it like 3 times, and I don't remember it.
is the name is literally Norse for Dark Father.
Oh,
You have Bob Anderson, who did the stunts for him, which is the sword fighting. You had Dave Prowse, who did the main stuff in the body. And then you have the voice with James Earl Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have other things like the breathing and the sculpting of the helmets and all that. But those are behind the scenes people, That's not an actual person.
You can do the breathing, Brandon. He should have hired you.
My favorite part is when R2-D2 in Return of the Jedi is doing the Darth Vader sounds when they're talking to the Ewoks, and he's like, psh, psh.
Yeah, you were right, Brandon. It is the stunts, which makes total sense.
Guys, he's on our team tonight. He's using big words.
Yeah.
He knows everything.
That's right.
That's why people tune in.
Yeah,
hear Shane not know what he's talking about.
Right. Could you imagine all these big words that people tune in to hear Brandon say?
The old school episodes of Brandon, though, he's like this.
A mute.
He is a mute. He didn't even know he was on a show for a first year.
No, I was on my computer in my bedroom. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah,
remember
there
when
it is.
we couldn't even see each other? Whoever was talking was on the screen. That was beautiful. Yeah. Me and Chris would just sit there and text each other and sleep. Hey, text me when they ask me a question.
Yeah, if you didn't make a noise, it wouldn't show your face. So me and Brandon would purposely not make noises.
Oh my God, it's the worst.
Wait, hold on. Who the hell is Anderson?
I just went over that. The stunt
guy. Yeah.
Oh, I was sleeping.
Chris, you realize you're on the screen, right? This isn't 2021.
That's kind of sad that like one guy couldn't do all four things. Like they needed
that's what I'm saying.
To do four separate things.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It like took 4 men to put this character together, on camera basically. And then, additional work behind the camera. But
it actually takes 5 of us
all by himself.
It actually takes 5 of us just to do this.
I don't even understand why they wouldn't use Dave Prowse's face for the.
Well, that is a pretty controversial story. I've heard it talked about. But it was just like a George Lucas decision, or the director, I think, of Return of the Jedi. Money. It was some sort of, like nepotism. Like, what's his name? Is it Sebastian Shaw? That's his name? Sebastian Shaw was like friends or something with the director. Like there was some reason why he got chosen to be the face in that scene. And David Prowse lost his mind.
The funny part is that he didn't even know he was doing it until they started putting the makeup on him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm who am I?"
Yeah, David Prowse was like disconnected from George Lucas and Lucasfilm for like the rest of his life, basically over it.
Oh yeah. There's a documentary on that. You can watch that. It's actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, he was devastated by it, because he was led to believe all the years that he was doing Vader that eventually he would take his helmet off and his face would be on the screen, and they took it away from him. So it's kind of a sad story.
Yeah.
So all right, well, I said everything I care to say. James Earl Jones, a fan favorite with a lot of franchises and movies.
I'm bummed because I was really hoping that Disney would have a new show with just Vader and focus on his life from episode 3 to episode 4 and just show like all the stuff that the comic books show, and the Dr. Aphra stuff, and the having what's her name, Ahsoka Tano as his Padawan, and like all that kind of stuff. Like they just can't do that anymore. So, maybe they can. They can just use his voice, but it's not the same.
But Anakin had Ahsoka though. Vader didn't have Ahsoka.
Oh, well, whatever. I don't know.
But I'm saying they can do that because Hayden Christensen's back in the fold now. We saw that scene, and
I know that, but the voices, I'm sure they can steal the voices again, but he's going to be saying the same things.
No, they can take all that
How
footage.
many times are you going to say that?
No,
Brandon,
AI.
They can change. Yeah,
they can make him say anything they want.
As long as they have the voice, he can say whatever he wants.
Yeah, they got it,
and
that's why there's the Hollywood.
Make Yoda say whatever he wants.
That's the weird part.
That's why they had all the Hollywood strikes.
I think Brandon is actually AI because he's using a lot of big words. The old Brandon would not be talking like this.
Well,
maybe they'll just put him. Brandon was hoping and looking for a new Disney show.
Right.
Anonymous? You used anonymous?
Negative.
That's a big word.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other word?
Chris can't even announce it.
I'm waiting for you.
Superfluous.
You want to say superfluous, right?
That's what Chris wants to say.
Yeah, that's what Chris wants to say. Yeah, I know.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, well, we know you didn't say anything. We know.
Chris probably doesn't even know what it means.
Who uses that word?
Just say extra, okay? Extra.
Jesus.
All right. Well, guys, fun to reminisce about James Earl Jones across all the Star Wars fans that we know and the groups that we're in. A lot of people posting and commenting, and we'll enjoy him through the works that he left behind for years to come. So it's good to chat about him and remember somebody from the Star Wars family. All right, folks, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and let us know what your memories of James Earl Jones are. What movies you remember from childhood, which movies of his that you really enjoy, and maybe you'll go back and watch them now that they're brought up to your attention again. We will circle back and see you next time on 5 Idiots Talking Toys. Thanks for watching, and good night.
Bye.